Our next contestant comes from Nepal's Bikalpa, and alternative is Sarwaga Jean Pandey. Raj Pandey. Welcome.
Thank you. If a tree falls down in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Imagine, suddenly the government comes to bulldoze your house in pretext of road expansion, and there's no one to voice the violation of your rights. Instead, the media persons side with the populist narrative of the public good. How do you feel if the authorities force the entire 46,000 households of your city to paint their house to one single color, and not one newspaper report against it? Nepal is facing this problem, and these are just few examples. You see, the forest from my earlier analogy is our society. The tree that fell, they are our rights. And the ones who are supposed to report these falling trees to us, they are the media persons, and they are shaping our ideologies. So what's the problem? Our government and politicians believe in populist ideologies. And the reason why logic takes a backseat and many of these headlines go unreported is because these media persons are biased and often side with the political class. We have faced it ourselves many times when many of our works receive media blackout just because they would make the establishment feel uncomfortable. Therefore, there's need for a platform to create an alternative discourses and challenge these traditional narratives. And what are these alternative discourses? These are the approaches from perspective of liberal values. And Bikalpa proposes to introduce a pioneer online news portal that will promote liberal values. There are many issues that we have not been able to address, and the vacuum is being filled by the politicized media. They are controlling the public opinion. There are many issues where we need to impart these alternative discourses, and this can be done at a larger scale through online news portal. And we are capable of doing this because Bikalpa's videos in the past have received over 1 million views, and we have also built opinions on various issues. With our prior experience, outreach, and by scaling up our content delivery, we are sure we can achieve this. So what will we be doing there? We will be focusing on providing analysis to news on policy and current affairs from a liberal perspective. Basically, by this we'll be aiming to build opinion, raise questions, and create audience for the liberal content. Such following, we believe, will influence the stakeholders to bring about changes in policy at a large scale. And this $10,000 will be used to make this, to reach out to those amount of people out there. By the first 6 months, we plan to increase to reach out to at least the eastern part of Nepal, and within 2 years to the rest of the country. And significant amount of the budget will be used in training our staffs and also giving them exposure so that will hone their ability in the long run. And we'll also, another interesting part is that we'll also make this a very a self-sustaining website through revenue generation from this model. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at a crucial junction. Recently, the Communist Alliance was able to garner a near 2/3 majority. And with the notion of positive discrimination and socialism being enshrined into the constitution of our country, challenges to liberal values is huge. Just imagine what those missing headlines could do. They could change people's perspective. The wave of populism could be countered with rational thoughts, and the sound from my earlier analogy, yes, they could be diligently reported back to the people. We are on a mission, and your contribution is very crucial to us. Thank you, and namaste.
Thank you very much. Time for our judges to take the floor.
How many trained journalists do you have, and who is your target audience?
Our target audiences are youths as well as policymakers alike. And journalists, we have been working with many like-minded journalists, and I myself was also part of few online medias, and that is why we received a lot of blackout, because we had to write in a very controlled environment. So, and we are thinking of, this has always been our brainchild, but it requires a huge investment, so we can carry on with it.
Would you give us an idea of the kind of issues that you would highlight? Just a few examples of the really pressing issues which are now in a populist fog where you'd like to shine a light.
Yes, I think that there are a lot of those. Especially to begin with, I think property right is something that is disregarded in our society, as well as social cultural rights. I'm sure that's going to come a lot. Like, for example, everyone frowns at consensual sex, having consensual sex between adult male and female. Those kind of things have been curtailed by media persons. People are raided when they are in their privacy, and they can just be taken away by police and charged. I think, and that's ridiculous, I think. And even the media persons won't highlight that in the right way. They just side with the government, and those are just simple issues. Other issues I talk about property rights, right? So these are some of the issues that we will have to immediately act upon, especially with the new government coming into power.
Are there examples of similar projects that have been successful in terms of numbers, audience, participation? Can you think of projects in other countries where a portal like this has been really, really effective?
I think there's an online news portal in India called Azadi, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So I think they're doing a commendable job. And there are also some socialist websites that have come up in Nepal. So those are also some of the websites, which have been doing nice work in terms of garnering viewerships.
Can I ask you about what is the most effective social media platform there? I do understand that you do have this, the provider cellular as well, whether it is Facebook, whether it is, WhatsApp or SMS or group that, could be more effective rather than the portal because you can, deliver the news.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one. But I think people have outgrown social media now. And now they are looking for a legitimate platform, because a lot of fake news, people have already started to understand that we have been fooled a lot of times, and that is also one of the reasons where we are lagging behind, because we just have social media outreach, but many people don't believe us. Just take example of myself. Even I can't cite my own publications in Facebook because people are not allowed to cite news articles written on media, right? Social media. But they can cite those which are written on legitimate news websites. So I think legitimacy factor is one thing. So that is why we need to have a news portal, and that will increase faith in people.
If I just to follow up on this, but in terms of this outreach of Facebook is much higher than your portal, maybe.
Yes, but when people look for legitimacy, I think they'll have to again come back to website. So that is where we have always been failing, because people say, okay, but why would I trust Bikalpa, a page that's on Facebook? Do they have a website? Do they have a something legitimate to show, or a registration as a matter of fact? So I think that is one thing that would really boost up our content in matters of legitimacy.
I have a two-part question related to money, which I think is the most important.
All right.
So your budget is $18,000, and this would provide you $10,000. So the first question is, how do you plan to raise the remaining $88,000? And then my second question is, this is a long-term project. It's not like the first contestant. It was a very discrete project. This is something that you want to have continue for many years. How will you raise the money to sustain it once this is started up?
So I'll just go back once. So this is our revenue generation model. So like I told you, we need $11,400 or $11,040, something like that, for first year. And I think from our project timeline also, we'll have started to at least have 3 to 5 advertisements somewhere in September. In 4-5 months time, we'll start generating some amount of revenue, and within at least 1 year, we are hopeful that if you can reach this number of social media target, which is the number one online news media, they are generating a revenue of more than $1,000 a month. So I think we will not just be able to sustain ourselves, we can also sustain the organization. Bikalpa, this could be a grantee for Bikalpa as well. So that is, have I answered both the questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.